Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. The fellas are heading to the SEC as the Alabama Crimson Tide go on the road to the Tennessee Volunteers. This probably will be the best environment we'll see all of Saturday. It is going to be absolutely rocking in Knoxville. I cannot wait to watch this game. Before we get into it, though, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. The support lately has been phenomenal, and we really do appreciate it. We love making these videos. We love talking football with you guys in the comment section. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate y'all. Let's start talking some ball here. I want to start with the Tennessee Volunteers. This is one of the most impressive teams we've seen all year. And a lot of people talking about this matchup like to go back to, oh, Nick Saban's never lost to Tennessee. In fact, the games haven't even really been close. I think the last couple of games have been outside of 22 points, so 3 scores. That needs to be all thrown out the window with this Tennessee team because this is the most complete Tennessee team we have seen in a very long time. Last year, Tennessee was awesome. Like, that offense was one of the best in the country. Hendon Hooker was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They didn't really have a great defense that they could lean on. This Tennessee defense, you look at what they've done, and again, you don't really associate Tennessee with good defense, and especially because it's really hard for Tennessee to put up great statistical numbers on the defensive side of the ball because of how fast they play. The opposing teams get a lot of possessions. They're only allowing less than 18 points per game, and what's been most impressive and one of Tennessee's biggest holes that you've seen is teams were able to run the football on them, kind of keep Hendon Hooker in that offense off the field. This year, Tennessee has been phenomenal against the run, only allowing 2.8 yards per carry. You take a look at some of those guys that they have. I mean, I really like some of the guys in the front seven. Tyler Barron, Omari Thomas has been a dog. Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley. They have a lot of playmakers. Those two linebackers, Banks and Beasley, can fly around the field, and they're behind a very good defensive line. They are tougher up front, letting those really good linebackers go sideline to sideline and make plays. And I think that's going to be the story of the game. This Alabama team has kind of been searching for a more explosive passing game. You look at what Alabama's done through the air. They don't really have that wide receiver that they've had the last couple of years. Jameson Williams, John Mechie, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, their leading receiver has 223 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs has been primarily one of the guys that they've been using the most as a running back. And so Alabama really not really finding that explosive passing game, and they've been relying on the run, which they do a great job with. Gibbs averaging 8.3 yards per carry, Chase McClellan averaging 6.4 yards per carry. They can get it done on the ground, but against the Tennessee front seven that's been really good against the run, Alabama's going to need to be able to throw the ball. And I'm going off Bryce Young's going to play. This line would not be 7.5-point favorites as Alabama going on the road to Knoxville. I'm assuming Bryce Young's going to play, and I think he's going to need to step up because if you look at where you need to get after this Tennessee team on the defensive side of the ball, it's through the air. They've been extremely good stopping the run, but they haven't been very good in the back end in the second. I mean, you saw Anthony Richardson, I believe, throw for over 400 yards against a Tennessee secondary. They're allowing over 300 yards per game through the air. They are really good in the red zone. I mean, you see they're allowing 396 yards per game, but they're only allowing 17.8 points per game. And so that's going to be a massive story. Can Tennessee limit Alabama to field goals, which they were missing field goals against Texas A&M? And then obviously, if Bryce Young's healthy, can he move the ball through the air against a Tennessee secondary that I don't think is necessarily that bad, but they are also down a safety. I believe he got arrested on Sunday, so that is something to monitor as well. Now, flipping it, Tennessee on the offense side of the ball. If you guys have listened to me for a while, I love what Josh Heupel's done with this offense. It is some of the most – I wouldn't want to call it a gimmick because I feel like that'd be disrespectful to what they do, but what they run is just so clean. I mean, the wide splits, using all the blades of grass that they have, and kind of putting that defense in conflict. And they've been able to run the football really well, too. You take a look at some of those running backs, Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, both averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. When they get numbers in the box, they will run the football, but they do look to throw it. And you look at the weapons that they have on the outside, Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, and then if you get Cedric Tillman back, who I think is the best wide receiver on that team and one of the best wide receivers in the whole entire country, I mean, that is just a very, very hard offense to cover. How they run it, how they get their playmakers in space, you see a lot of teams struggle with that. And I think the big story for Alabama is Tennessee hasn't really played a defensive line as disruptive as Alabama will. Yes, LSU posed some problems, but not really. Florida posed some problems, but not really. This Alabama defensive line is probably next level. You got to be able to block Will Anderson because Tennessee's. It's about timing. The ball comes out quick, which I really like in that matchup. Not really giving some of those pass rushers the time to make a play behind the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the story, though. Can Alabama get some pressure on Hendon Hooker and kind of speed up that process, throw off that Tennessee timing to get to the pick? I probably am leaning Alabama to cover 7.5 points. And it's not even because I don't like Tennessee. It's just this Alabama team we haven't really seen hit its stride yet. I think this is going to be the most focused they have been all year. I probably am leaning Alabama to cover this. I don't really love it at 7.5. If you could get it inside of a touchdown, I like it a little bit more. This is going to be a very good game. And this is not an official play for me in the slightest. This Tennessee team has very much impressed me. What they did against LSU last week was extremely impressive. We obviously had Tennessee to cover 2.5 on the road at LSU. That was an easy cover. This Tennessee team's legit. One of the other questions I have is a lot of people are hyping up Tennessee in the sense that they should be a top 5 team. They should be ranked over Michigan. You take a look at, they have 3 top 25 wins. All those teams are not in the top 25 anymore. Pitt, not as good as we thought. That road win on the road at Pitt that went into overtime, not necessarily as impressive as you thought. The Florida Gators winning at home in a game that they probably should have won by a little bit more than 5 points. The Gators haven't been that impressive. And then LSU they should have been a top 25 team last week. They're definitely not a top 25 team this week. So you have some questions about how really good is this Tennessee team, but you could honestly be asking the same thing about this Alabama team, only beating Texas by 1, messing around with Texas A&M, almost losing that football game. I get Bryce Young wasn't in, but Texas A&M is a very bad team. This is going to be easily the best game on Saturday. It's a game that I'm not really touching from a betting standpoint. I have a lean to Alabama covering the points, but this is a game that I am a college football fan. I am kicking my feet up on the couch, and I'm watching this game and learning about both of these teams. This Alabama team is so talented. I had them as my number 1 team coming into the season. They haven't looked it. They haven't really come together as much as you thought. And then this Tennessee team is what's so exciting about them, and we talked about it already, is how complete they are. We knew they'd have a good offense. Hendon Hooker is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Josh Heupel is a genius calling plays. The wide receivers, the offensive line, the running backs, it was all complete. The offense is great, and we knew that. What I'm excited about is this defense is significantly better than people were giving them credit for in the offseason. And this makes it a Tennessee team that is a complete team. They play good on both sides of the ball. They do not turn the ball over. This is a dangerous team. If Alabama does not play their best ball, they will lose this game on the road. The environment is going to be absolutely wild. It is a 3:30 kickoff, and you will have that on your first monitor. This is going to be a good one. Again, we appreciate you guys checking us out. If you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.